I've come across an amazing concept, an idea that sparked up in my head of just a sort of gameplay where I imagine my Dragonborn story finished and she ends up touching an artifact and being thrown into a different universe. The sort of concept brought to life in Elder Scrolls Online from the Daedric Prince Ophelia. She is the Daedric Prince of Fate and Many Paths, and the Many Paths is the multiverse of the Elder Scrolls. Now, it might sound familiar because Mora is the Daedric Prince of the Many Paths. He ties into her story quite a bit, and there's a reason for it. Now, spoilers ahead. Obviously, if you haven't played it, you're not going to play it. Ophelia are basically, and Mora have a conversation where Ophelia gives Mora her power of fate. But I think the Many Paths power is tied to her and her alone. He opens up a portal for her to go into a realm where she's got no magic, where her power cannot follow her. So she goes into a magicless realm in the Elder Scrolls or whatever. There's no magic to persist. And she goes there and disappears. Now there's a lot of stuff in there, but the Many Paths is an awesome idea. I think something I'd love to play. And this kind of came to an idea from the apocalyptic mod. I don't remember what it's called, but it's where basically you go to Skyrim and it's already destroyed. Alduin had destroyed Skyrim. You know, there's no life on Tamriel anymore. Everything's gone. This idea I borrowed in my head for Oblivion. What would happen if Dagon won? What would happen if the Champion of Cyrodiil went into the Battle of Bruma, but was killed, and the siege engine came through, and Martin Septim was surrounded by the Daedra and slaughtered, and there was nobody left to stop Murem's Dagon from walking Tamriel? This also ties into the Many Paths. Now, I'd imagine this not just being an apocalyptic mod to explore what would happen if, but something a little bit different. Something tied into a quest. Now this just isn't some cool concept that you're playing in a post-apocalyptic world where instead of Alduin winning, Dagon did. Now this would obviously take place in Skyrim. But again, if a free mod like this came out, it'd have to be long after Oblivion. At least. So the idea sprung to life from all that. But I kind of want to tie something special into it. A quest or something. Something to do with Ophelia's power. Now, like I said, she's a Daedric Prince of the Many Paths, and she can even interact with other versions of herself in these other paths. Maybe these other versions have artifacts out there that slip through the multiverse and travel the different realms. Now, the idea came to life because it'd be bloody cool. Imagine you're walking across Skyrim and you hear a boom sound in the distance. You know, what the fuck? And then you get a quest marker sharp, investigate this occurrence. And you go there, and you find a crater in the ground with smoke out of it, and you find this cool little glowing crystal. And you being the curious person you are, oh, that'd look cool on a shelf in my house. Boom. Screen goes black, and the curiosity killed the cat. Now, you wake up where you were, but there's no crater there anymore. The ground is scorched black, the trees are burnt, the sky is on fire, and lightning rips across it. The water has turned to lava. And you wake up thinking you're in an absolute nightmare. Unable to comprehend what the hell is going on. You find mutilated corpses everywhere, the undead, feral vampires and mutated vampires that have been drinking from Demora blood. And I'd imagine them being mutated creatures that look like... If you've ever watched Arcane, obviously, hopefully you have, there's this drug called Shimmer and it mutates people into monsters. And I kind of imagine that's what Demora blood would do to a vampire. It would hulk them out and mutate them. A bit like the abominations in the Fallout universe. The world is gone. We find out that you're in a different version of Skyrim. A different multiverse. A different path. Where the Champion of Cyrodiil failed. Martin Septim died. But you're in Skyrim 200 years after that. What would naturally be the fourth era for you? The fourth era never happened. Time never really went on. I mean, it'd probably be the third era in the year. I don't even remember what time really Oblivion was in, but it'd be very long after. And by 200 years, the world has definitely changed for the worse. No mortal life exists anymore. Murem's Dagon still walks Tamriel. It's fully under his control. There is no stopping him. He's won. And you come to a world in a very odd time. Now, in Skyrim's questline, you've got one mission. To stop the World Eater. To destroy Alduin, the Lord, the Devourer, the Destroyer. Now you've ended up in the Deadlands version of Tamriel. Towns that you knew in Skyrim don't exist, like Riverwood or Rorikstead. And what remains is what towns that would have existed during Oblivion's time, that were wiped out and burnt down. Every city in Skyrim is gone. It's destroyed, burnt down, a husk. Dragon's Reach still stands atop the mountain, but it only stands there because it's useful. Nothing lives inside of it. Inside Dragon's Reach is Paarthurnax, who's been captured and tortured for 200 years, and has finally given in to Miriam's Dagon, where he's become a monstrous creature, a dragon imbued with the powers of Oblivion. You come to a world where even Riften would look different, because it never burnt down, like it did 50 or so years after the Oblivion Crisis. But it's still obviously burnt down. It's just, something different happened. Now you come to Skyrim just before Alduin returns. Alduin, like I said, is the Lord, the Devourer, and the Destroyer. But someone else has already done his job. Someone else has already destroyed what he was set out to destroy. Has completed his fate. And if you've ever done anything in your life and you're good at it, and someone else comes through and does that, you're kind of pissed. This is where I think this would take a massive turn. Because like I said, in Skyrim, you're designed to stop him. But in this other reality, in this other path, you're designed to help him. He needs to reset the Culpa. He needs to fulfill his destiny and destroy the current Culpa, the current world. But he can't do that because Miriam's Dagon still walks Tamriel. And his realm of Oblivion, his power, persists over all of Tamriel. You need to destroy him. Now him and Alduin, they've had a beef, a sort of past. I'm pretty sure Miriam's Dagon becomes a Daedric Prince because of his fight with Alduin. Alduin bites him or eats him or some shit and he becomes a Daedric Prince because of it. I'm not entirely sure, but they've definitely had beef. But by this time, well, 200 years in Tamriel has made him extremely powerful. Not even other Daedric Princes stand a chance against him if they wish to walk into Tamriel. This is where things would have to change. Like I said, you'd have to help Alduin. You'd have to help him resurrect other dragons because Paarthurnax is out there after him. He's imbued with Miriam's Dagon's power. Daedric Titans could outnumber him, pin him down, and Miriam's Dagon could finally finish him off. Or lock him in a cage. Your job is to help Alduin get stronger. Resurrect the fallen dragons. And get Miriam's Dagon's attention. Bring him to Skyrim. And I've just imagined like sitting somewhere where you could see the Skyrim or the Cyrodiilic mountain ranges, and you're up there in a mountain, maybe up there where the Greybeards used to live. It's been destroyed now, of course. And you kind of look up from the distance of the Cyrodiil and you see a gigantic red hulking monster walk over the mountains. Because you've gained Dagon's attention. Alduin has become a threat. He's coming to finish him off. Now, I'd imagine this kind of fight playing out like the Sky Oblivion animation that will come out, where Alduin has grown quite strong. You've got him to Sovngarde, and you've actually helped him devour all the souls of those that died 200 years ago. He's become quite powerful, especially with the dragons aiding him. But he gets into a fight with Miriam's Dagon, and eventually the same animation plays out how it would have with the aspect of Agatosh fighting Miriam's Dagon in Oblivion. They have a massive clash and fight, but Alduin actually wins. You've helped him get strong enough to fight him off. And he is, I wouldn't say killed because you can't kill a Daedric Prince, but he's defeated him to a point to where his very essence has been obliterated in Tamriel, and he's been sent back to Oblivion, freeing Tamriel of his influence. And I'd imagine the sky is going like Daedric red, or what they've been for 200 years, and finally clearing out. And then the Daedric gates all crumbling. Now Alduin can reset the Culpa, devour the world, and he thanks you. Then an artifact of Athelia reappears and throws you back into your version of Skyrim. The idea came to me when I was at the gym, and it blew my brains out, man. Because honestly, I do a lot of concepts. I think of a lot of things. I make stories on this. I literally play multiple different characters in the one save. I turn Skyrim from this mundane, do it all, save, quit, reload, reset, do it again, into a multiple character play story, like you're reading it in a book. these concepts I can turn into something you can physically see. This concept is just an idea that I physically cannot do. I'm nowhere near skilled enough to even touch this sort of thing. How amazing would it be to have sort of the ESO lore enter Skyrim as Athelia's object and transports you to a different version with a Champion of Cyrodiil, with Oblivion's main protagonist failed, and you end up in Skyrim 200 years later after the defeat of Tamriel, and you have to help Alduin when he returns. When he finally reaches his point where he comes back to Tamriel, when he's unbanished from time, instead of killing him, defeating him like you have to in the main game, you actually have to help him. And how different would that be? You know, like this could have to be like an end game quest where you could only do it after you've completed the main quest line, but that would be amazing, man. To be like to travel around Skyrim, gaining his words of power, becoming so strong so you can fight him and beat him. And you've done that, and then you jump into an entirely different world where you need to help him destroy the world. You need him, you know, you're a good character probably. You're obligated to help him. Hopefully. And, you know, with him destroying the Kelper, everything can reset. The mortals that were in Oblivion, safeguarded by their Daedric princes, could come back and repopulate Tamriel. I mean, the idea of that just boggles my mind, man. I love that. I'd love to jump into a different world and save it from the failure of the last hero, the last protagonist of the Elder Scrolls. You know, instead of spending the entire game hunting to kill that one thing you need to finish, you need to destroy Alduin. Instead, in this story, you need to help him and complete his task. That is just kind of how the idea came to be. It's not just you're going into a different version of the Elder Scrolls. You're not going into the multiverse to check out a wasted Oblivion version of Tamriel. You're going there for a quest, for an adventure, to see a world that we were never meant to see. I see all our games, our saves, as the many paths, you know? Nothing's really canonized ever since ESO's Athelia. I mean, who wins the Civil War? It doesn't matter. It's a different path. It's your path. You know, your path is yours alone, and that's what I love about the whole idea of the multiverse. That the story that I create is what I imagine a 12-year-old boy in the year 605 of the Fourth Era would open up and read a book of the Last Dragonborn. Not just the events that took place in her life, but those that were in it. Like Cecilia here, the vampire. Centauros, the Imperial soldier. That a 6-year-old boy hundreds of years later would read this story. My bad, I hit my mic. And this would be my path. My story. As in your stories would be different paths. And I like the idea of going into a world where you failed in the previous game. That would be amazing. Anyway, that was just my concept of what I thought would be an amazing story and quest line that flips the world upside down, where one of your characters failed. And instead of hunting Alduin and killing him, your goal is to save him and help him destroy the world. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought of this idea. And if there's any modding teams out there, man, if you want to take this idea to the Creation Club, fuck, I would pay $30 for this shit. I didn't give a shit. I would pay probably, I don't know if I'd pay full price, but I would definitely pay to see the world destroyed and going to places like villages you would have seen in Rina, or I don't know what game it was, but villages that were in Skyrim during the Third Era. And I would love to see a different world where it's all destroyed and you've got a quest line to save. I would pay money for that shit. I would 100% pay money for that shit. But if not, we're probably going to have to wait until someone does a Sky Oblivion mod where Cyrodiil fell to Dagon, and then someone then goes and takes that idea and chucks it into Skyrim. And then we just get the apocalyptic version of, well, shit happens, you know, in Skyrim. I don't know. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments, because this idea blew my mind. And I want to hear what you guys have to say, because, again, to me, it's pretty big. I'm going to catch you guys in the next video, and if you got this far, cheers for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video.